One sold-out show in 1971 earned the Allman Brothers just $1,500 to split between 6 members. Their record label? They pocketed over $40,000 from that same night. Think about that for a second. The Allman Brothers created Southern rock. They changed American music forever. Millions loved their songs. But behind the scenes, these musicians could barely pay their bills. Picture this contrast. Capricorn Records founder Phil Walden lounged in his new mansion, sipping expensive whiskey bought with Allman Brothers profits. Meanwhile, the guys actually making the music shopped at thrift stores and crammed 4 to a hotel room. This isn't just another story about a bad contract. It's about one of rock's greatest bands having nearly $100 million stolen from them while they created the soundtrack to American freedom. In 1969, a struggling guitarist named Duane Allman walked into a recording studio in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. He played slide guitar on Wilson Pickett's cover of Hey Jude. That session paid him exactly $100. That small payment changed rock history. Duane used that money to convince his brother Gregg to leave California and start a band unlike anything America had heard before. They moved into a rundown $30 a month house in Jacksonville, Florida, where they created something new. The Allman Brothers played free shows across Florida that summer. They slept in a beat-up van they nicknamed the Tin Can. Night after night, they mixed Gregg's Hammond organ with Duane's mind-blowing slide guitar, blending jazz, blues, and country into something fresh and powerful. Word spread. Phil Walden, who had managed soul legend Otis Redding, caught them playing a half-empty club in Macon, Georgia. After the show, he offered them a record deal with his new Capricorn Records label. The contract signing happened over drinks at Walden's house. No lawyers checked the paperwork. No one explained the fine print. These young musicians, hungry for success and trusting Walden's reputation, signed away their future. Here's what they didn't understand. While normal recording contracts gave artists 12 to 15% royalties, the Allmans received just 5 to 7%. Even worse, hidden clauses made them responsible for all recording costs and promotional expenses. The most devastating part? Capricorn owned their master recordings forever. Most labels kept rights for just 7 to 10 years. This single paragraph would eventually cost them over $50 million. By 1970, they were touring non-stop, 300 grueling shows a year. They should have been getting rich. Instead, they barely survived. Meanwhile, Capricorn expanded rapidly. Walden's staff grew from 12 to over 50 employees between 1970 to 1972. Former road manager Joe Caruso later revealed a moment that said it all. "I once saw Duane, the guy whose playing was filling 5,000-seat venues, counting pennies from his pocket to buy dinner. The next day, I visited Capricorn's offices and watched them unload brand new leather furniture for Walden's office." In March 1971, something magical happened at New York's Fillmore East. The Allman Brothers delivered what many still consider the greatest live rock performance ever recorded. Those 2 nights should have been their big financial breakthrough. Instead, they revealed just how badly they were being exploited. Capricorn Records spent just $12,500 to record those legendary shows. Within 6 months, the resulting album sold over 500,000 copies, generating $3.49 million in wholesale revenue. After Capricorn's accountants finished their calculations, the band received just $174,500 to split 6 ways. Each member got approximately $29,000, less than what Capricorn's receptionist earned that year. Meanwhile, Walden's company kept over $3 million. The contract's fine print forced the band to repay all recording costs from their royalties. While other labels covered studio time as a business expense, Capricorn charged the band for every minute on the clock, every inch of tape, even hotel rooms for engineers. The imbalance became visible in 1972. Phil Walden used his windfall to buy a 9-bedroom mansion in Macon for $250,000, about $1.7 million today. Meanwhile, Duane Allman, the musical genius whose guitar work generated those millions, still lived in a modest rented apartment he could barely afford. Their tour income arrangement was especially cruel. Most bands kept about 60% of live earnings after expenses. The Allmans received a flat fee, usually under $5,000, regardless of ticket sales. Capricorn pocketed everything else. Even in arenas seating 15,000 fans, the musicians saw none of the extra money. One 1973 show grossed $187,000, but the band still received their standard $5,000 fee. Capricorn kept the remaining $182,000. Merchandise was another sore spot. Their iconic mushroom logo appeared on t-shirts sold at every show. The band received 0%. Former crew members estimate Capricorn made over $300,000 from merchandise between 1971 to 1973, more than the band earned from actually performing. From 1971 to 1973, their records earned Capricorn roughly $10 million. Industry standards suggest they should have received at least $1.2 million. Their actual combined earnings? Barely $200,000, less than 2% of what their music generated. On October 29, 1971, Duane Allman headed home on his motorcycle. At an intersection in Macon, Georgia, he swerved to avoid a truck. His bike hit a construction barrier that had fallen onto the road. The accident happened at just 20 miles per hour. At first, Duane seemed fine, but 3 hours later, he died from internal injuries. He was only 24 years old. The band had just recorded Melissa and Blue Sky days earlier for their upcoming album. Now they mourned their leader and creative force. What happened next defies belief. On November 11th, 1972, almost exactly 1 year after Duane's death, and just 3 blocks from the same location, bassist Barry Oakley crashed his motorcycle. Like Duane, he seemed okay at first. Hours later, he died from brain swelling. He was also 24. Think about those odds. 2 founding members, same band, same cause of death, same age, almost the same spot, almost the same date, 1 year apart. Most record companies would give a grieving band time to recover. Capricorn saw dollar signs instead. They pushed the traumatized musicians back on stage within weeks. 3 weeks after Oakley's death, they played Madison Square Garden to a sold-out crowd. Critics called the performance raw and emotional. What the audience didn't see, backstage, band members wept between songs. Gregg Allman later admitted they played in a complete daze. The tragedies hit their finances too. Duane's death voided parts of their recording contract, forcing renegotiation. The new terms were even worse. The band now had to cover expenses for 2 replacement members. Dickie Betts took lead guitar duties, and Lamar Williams joined on bass. In a move that disgusted the band, Capricorn released memorial albums for both Duane and Barry without consulting anyone. These collections of outtakes and unfinished tracks earned the label over $500,000 in 1973 alone. The families of the deceased musicians saw very little of these profits. For one band member, these tragedies would spiral into a devastating addiction that threatened everything they had left. By 1975, Gregg Allman's heroin addiction had reached catastrophic levels. His habit cost between $500 to $1,000 daily, around $5,000 in today's money. This staggering amount exceeded what most Americans earned in a month. Band members witnessed the horrifying progression. He nodded off during sound checks. Between songs, he vomited backstage. The addiction began as self-medication after Duane's death. By 1975, it controlled every aspect of his life. The financial impact hit the band hard. In Miami, Gregg failed to appear for a sold-out show. The venue demanded a $50,000 refund. Promoters started requiring substantial cash deposits before confirming dates. Then came the ultimate disaster. In 1976, federal agents arrested Gregg in Macon with heroin. Prosecutors offered a stark choice: testify against road manager Scooter Herring, or face serious jail time. Gregg chose self-preservation and took the deal. The band viewed this as unforgivable betrayal. Dickie Betts called it stabbing family in the back. Drummer Butch Trucks said it destroyed any trust we had left. Fans turned against Gregg, sending death threats to his home. The financial fallout was massive. Canceled tours cost around $1 million in lost revenue. Album sales dropped 40%. Capitol Records shelved their next album indefinitely. Meanwhile, Gregg's legal fees topped $150,000. He sold 3 vintage guitars to cover expenses. Herring's conviction created unexpected practical problems too. He had managed the band's logistics since 1970. Without him, tour planning fell apart. One 1977 show in Chicago started 2 hours late because the amplifiers never arrived. The band officially split in late 1976. Gregg formed a solo act. Dickie started the Dickie Betts Band. Neither found immediate success. Gregg's first solo tour lost an astounding $300,000 due to poor ticket sales. The Allman Brothers seemed finished forever. But the worst financial betrayal was yet to be discovered. In 1979, Capricorn Records filed for bankruptcy, triggering a financial investigation that exposed a shocking truth. The label owed the Allman Brothers Band $5 million in unpaid royalties, about $20 million in today's money. Bankruptcy filings revealed where their money had gone. Phil Walden had systematically diverted the band's royalties into personal ventures, real estate developments, a jet charter service, and a movie studio that never produced a single film. The band hired forensic accountants who uncovered damning evidence. Capricorn had deliberately underreported record sales by 30%. Royalty statements showed 500,000 units sold when actual sales exceeded 700,000. This single accounting fraud stole $1.2 million from the band. Even more disturbing, the label had fabricated phantom expenses, charging the band $200,000 for promotion on albums that received zero advertising. The resulting lawsuit dragged on for 4 grueling years, draining what little resources they had left. Legal filings show they spent $500,000 on attorney fees, the equivalent of their combined earnings during Capricorn's most profitable period. Gregg Allman mortgaged his Georgia home to cover his share of the legal costs. Dickie Betts sold 3 prized vintage guitars at auction. During a pivotal 1980 court hearing, Walden made a stunning admission under oath. He acknowledged using the band's money for personal ventures, arguing this practice was standard industry procedure. The judge disagreed, ruling Capricorn had committed willful breach of contract. The legal victory proved hollow. By then, Capricorn had no assets left to seize. The band won back their master recordings, but collecting the unpaid $5 million proved impossible. The financial aftermath devastated individual members. The band's combined net worth plummeted from $10 million in 1973 to under $1 million by 1985. Gregg Allman's 1981 solo album flopped, earning just $85,000. Dickie Betts played small clubs for $1,500 per night. In late 1989, a press release quietly announced that the Allman Brothers Band would reunite for a show at Atlanta's Fox Theater. The music industry reacted with skepticism. A desperate cash grab, one critic called it. Then, something remarkable happened. Their first announced show sold out in 4 hours. 10,000 tickets gone in an afternoon. Promoters quickly added 3 more dates. Those sold out in 8 hours. Ticket prices averaged $35, nearly triple what they charged in the 1970s. Yet fans snapped them up instantly. What made this comeback different? The band had learned the hardest lessons possible about the music business. This time, they controlled everything. They formed their own corporation, the Allman Brothers Band, Inc. Each member owned equal shares. They hired an independent accountant to track every dollar. Tour profits went directly to them, not a record label. Their new contract with Epic Records gave them 18% royalties, triple their Capricorn rate. Seven Turns, their 1990 comeback album, sold 500,000 copies in 6 months, generating $7 million in revenue. After deductions, the band kept $1.26 million, approximately $210,000 per member just from album sales. The contrast with their earlier career was staggering. In the 1970s, selling 500,000 albums earned them $29,000 each. Now the same sales brought 7 times more money. Touring became their financial salvation. The 1990 reunion tour grossed $3.2 million across 32 shows. The band kept 85% after expenses, about $2.7 million split 6 ways, or $450,000 per member. By 1992, they commanded $100,000 per show with annual touring income reaching $5 million. Gregg Allman purchased a $650,000 home in Savannah. Dickie Betts acquired a 300-acre ranch in Florida. After decades of financial struggle, they finally built substantial wealth. Their record deals improved dramatically too. The Epic contract gave them control over their masters after 7 years, instead of forever. Perhaps most remarkably, their comeback defied industry patterns. Most 60s and 70s acts downsized to smaller venues as they aged. The Allmans instead upgraded to amphitheaters and arenas. In 1998, they played to 38,000 people at Virginia Beach, their largest audience since the 1970s. Their business model became a blueprint for other classic rock bands. The key difference? Ownership. The Allmans had proven that controlling your career meant keeping your earnings. In 2023, Billboard valued the Allman Brothers Band's music catalog at $50 million. But experts believe proper management would have made it worth $150 million or more. The missing $100 million represents decades of bad deals, legal battles, and stolen opportunities. Today, streaming services generate $1.5 million annually from their songs. Yet the musicians who created these timeless recordings receive just a fraction of these earnings. The Allman Brothers invented Southern rock and changed American music forever. For this priceless contribution, they were nearly destroyed. While fans worldwide still experience the raw emotion of Whipping Post and the soaring melody of Jessica, few realize the painful truth behind these songs. Bad contracts and ruthless exploitation cost these pioneers much of their rightful fortune. The devastating irony? The very sound that made millions for record executives nearly bankrupted its creators. Duane Allman's revolutionary slide guitar technique became a cultural touchstone, yet he died with barely $15,000 to his name. The Allman Brothers ultimately triumphed, rebuilding their career on their own terms in the 1990s. But their early exploitation captures a troubling truth about the music industry. Creating timeless art doesn't guarantee fair compensation. Sometimes it guarantees the opposite. Next time you hear those iconic opening notes of Ramblin' Man, remember the true story behind the music. Remember the band that defined American rock while fighting a system designed to take everything they created. The Allmans didn't just master blues music, they lived it. What's the worst music industry betrayal you've heard of? Share in the comments and subscribe for more stories about how the music industry really works.